Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, I demand order for your new champions in the graphics, headed by the ring general of YouTube, Man! I don't know why I just got a Ludwig Kaiser vibe for a minute or so, but what's up, guys? How you guys all doing tonight? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and I am here for my review of the 2025's Raw after WrestleMania. I would have loved to have done this live, but because I got to the WrestleMania review late this week, I thought I would just record this and, go brush by. But of course, I did talk a little bit about a few things that happened on this episode of Raw in my WrestleMania reviews. Again, it was late, but I'm here to give my full thoughts and opinions on this week's episode of Raw. Again, the Raw after Mania 2025, April 21st, 2025, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. And gotta say, I thought this was probably the best Raw after Mania we've had in quite a long time. I love this episode of Raw. It felt like a true episode where everything, it's like they introduced like the new people that they're going to be, looking to build. Like starting over with so many things. It felt like a true season premiere. I don't know why I don't have the season premiere of Monday Night Raw here, rather than in October, they have the season premiere, right in the middle of the year. I'm just makes no sense. At least this would make sense, because WrestleMania is, after all, WWE's Super Bowl of wrestling. But we're now in the rearview mirror. We can all get over the fact that The Rock didn't show up, unfortunately. Yes, I'm still bitter about it too, but whatever. But we had some exciting things happen on this episode of Raw that makes me very excited for the future, for sure. So we're going to roll in and get started with this episode of Raw, opening up with the last real champion, John Cena, the undisputed WWE champion. I believe Mark Nash was announcing Raw tonight. I thought he was on SmackDown, but he was there announcing Raw, and John Cena made him re-announce him and give him a more, kind of not as dumb as the Shane McMahon thing when he was the best in the world, but he was told to announce John Cena as the greatest of all time, the never seen 17th, gracing Las Vegas with his presence for the last time, the last real champion, John Cena! Cena gets on the mic, and the first thing he says is, winners write history. And we are not winners. We think just because he has gold now, and we cheer, he's supposed to forgive us? That's not the way a functional relationship works. And he claims we all owe him an apology, but even though we're saying we're sorry, we're really saying we're not sorry. And the crowd doesn't mean anything to him. And of course the crowd starts chanting asshole at him. And he then says, I may be an anus, but you're all idiots. And he's got backup from our best shots every time. And the noise means nothing to him. All it means to him is 36 dates, which he mentioned he had on his contract for this year. And he counts down the number of cities he's been to, appearances had so far, until it reaches 27. We're down now to 27 dates until he's done. No more. And that's not 27 wrestling matches. That's 27 appearances. We say we can't wrestle, you don't have to. And when that number hits 0, he's done, and he's taking this title with him. We will, though, get a new title, but he'll take this one home with all of its history. All he has to do now is just play us. And Cody was our best chance to save them from wrestling being ruined. But unfortunately, Cody was outshined, outclassed, out-wrestlered, and destroyed. It's time to look in the mirror. All of us need to. And realize that nobody in the locker room has the strength, speed, or ruthless aggression like John Cena. So before he goes, he wants to be nice. He wants to tell the crowd to get out their phones and remember this moment and take a picture of him holding up the title one last time, because the real champ is here. And as he does that, I love how it was shot. You see Randy Orton's head pops up behind him like he was rising up from the ashes. Seething. I'm like, he was hungry for one. And then John Cena turns around and goes, shit, it gets RKO'd. That was hilarious here. John go, shit, and it gets RKO'd. So there we go, off to the races. Most likely the main event for Backlash, John Cena versus Randy Orton one last time for the Undisputed Championship. I'm cool with it. I know a lot of people, don't want to see it again. We've all said, this is not 2007, 2009, or heck, even 2013, 2014 if you. I know this is a totally overdone match, but guys, we haven't had this match in 8 years. And it even though we hate to admit it, it is one of Cena's biggest rivals. So, of course, one last time we're going to get them. And I'm totally cool with it. So, that sets that up for Backlash. And, that was a nice spot there. Following this, we had a rematch from WrestleMania. The women's tag titles. Yeah, that's right. For one night, we're going to see new women's tag champs. We get the SmackDown on Friday. We'll see them right back to where they were before, which I'll try to find them more meaner rather than bubblier PNG images to put back over here. But the champs, Lyra 2 belts, Lyra Valkyria, who go to this match, had both the women's tag titles and the women's Intercontinental title, and her tag team partner, the returning man, Becky Lynch, against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Match was fine for what it was, but no one's talking about the match. Had some good back and forth, and people getting knocked around. Liv Morgan then officially snuck in an Oblivion on Lyra Valkyria and wins the women's tag titles. Back. They are now 4-time women's tag team champions. Afterwards, though, you see Lyra in the ring. You see Becky get in the ring. They stop playing music, the crowd goes silent, and they still have the cameras on Becky and Lyra. And I'm like, oh shoot. I think we're getting what I think's about to happen. And Becky originally helps Lyra up and comforts her, but then clotheslines her and berates her for losing. I think she hit like one manhandle slam, goes to leave, and she's like, nah, not done yet. Goes back and beats her up more. Another manhandle slam. Goes to leave again. Nah, I'm not done yet. Goes back and hits and repeatedly hit manhandle slam out on her several times, turning heel. I have a few theories or a few things I'm interested in, but this actually, surprisingly, is the first time ever I would say I actually am interested in Becky Lynch as a heel. I did think if she would come back, she would turn heel. Apparently, it was her idea to pitch this for her to come back, win the titles with Lyra at WrestleMania, and then turn on Lyra the following night. And Lyra could use a more stronger name heel to try to help her get a character and get a little more over with the audience. Because right now, again, as awesome as Lyra's in the ring, she's not connecting character-wise. But maybe this feud with Becky for the women's IC title could help. But we'll talk more about the Becky Lynch heel turn in my turn alert, which should be following this video. So that should be good. Then we get the recap of CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, who's now a Paul Heyman guy, will address us in the main event. Okay, then we had this. So, the New Day came out, got on the microphone, announced themselves as the new World Tag Champs, telling us to get down on our knees, raise our hands to the sky, and scream out, thank God for the New Day, because no team alive is better than your boys, the New Day. That's why I thought maybe we were going to get like a debut or something. I thought, maybe it was with Fraxium. Well, we got a surprise, but it wasn't Fraxium. So before we get to the surprise, out comes Alpha Academy. And Maxime Dupri says they may be the greatest tag team ever, but last time they fought Tozawa and Otis, they got beat in 60 sweet seconds, which I think they're referring to the last match they had before they turned heel, if I'm not mistaken. And now we are here, the Raw after Mania, and she loved to see them put the money where their mouth is and get those tag titles on Alpha Academy. Which Xavier Woods asked Vegas, is that what you want? But of course he's like, nah, it's not what I want. But then Maxine says, if the Minutemen are scared, and Kofi says there's no Minutemen around here, and if they want to go right now, then they'll go. So they were about to get a tag match, right? For the tag titles. Well, then the lights go out. And then some different music plays. At first, I'm thinking, that's gotta be Aleister. It's gotta be Aleister. Not Aleister Black, but the other name who's been rumored to come back to WWE, in fact, did return on Raw. Aleister's probably going to return on SmackDown this week. But on Raw, we've got Rusev. That's right. Rusev is back. He got a massive pop. He came out looking in excellent shape. He ran down to the ring, and it looked like he was going to attack the New Day. But New Day ran away, and then he attacks Alpha Academy. I guess that means he's a heel, but I'm going to wait and see. This could be just him just like squashing someone just to get a good pop. But he could be back as a heel. I'll give it another week before I do a turn alert. Because I believe when he left WWE, he was a face. But yeah, he basically laid out Tozawa, and then he put the accolade on Otis. And yeah, Rusev's back. Good to see him back. He's in great shape. Like I said, I'm a little concerned though, that is there really room though for Rusev at the top in the main event scene? Because I think if you're going to bring back Rusev, you got to go all out on him and eventually put the world title on him. I'm hoping that could happen. Because like I said, Aleister Black, oh yeah, I think he's definitely, going to be just fine. Rusev though, I can still see him like just being shy of getting to the top. But maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see. But yeah, he's back. No Lana, though. Maybe no Lana yet. But apparently Lana did sign a Legends deal with WWE. So she could be back soon as well. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, new theme. Very fresh look. Good to see him back. Then we have Judgment Day backstage. Celebrating getting back the women's tag titles. As well as Dominik Mysterio winning the Intercontinental Championship. But then Finn Balor rolls up and stares down Dom for a good second before Liv steps up and says, "What's the matter, Finn? Is that one of us? All that matters is that one of us has it, right?" And then Balor's like, "Yeah. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and they're all good. Although they keep showing shots throughout the night, that I don't think Finn really is good. Where that goes again, I don't know. Like I said, it's just awkward because both men are technically heels, and there's really nothing to really get any of them to turn face, but we'll see where that goes. Then we had this nice surprise. Ooh, did I pop for this? So, out came the Women's World Champion, Io Sky. She came out and said how last night was the best night of her career, and she's over the moon. She beat the best, and that means she's the best. Rhea and Bianca thought that they could forget about her, but now we know that all of us will never forget her. And then she says something in Japanese, but concludes by saying she's the genius of the sky and the WWE Women's World Champion. And then, who showed up after that? And we got this free on TV. None other than NXT Women's Champion Stephanie Vaquer. And I popped. I've only known of Stephanie Vaquer for not even a year, maybe like 9 months. Already a huge fan. I instantly became a fan of hers when she wrestled Mercedes Moné at AEW Forbidden Door last year. And I still cannot believe WWE snatched her up. And she's basically one of the main faces of the women's division NXT. But yeah, awesome to see her. She came out, congratulates Io, but introduces herself as well. And she says, I'm going to give you a polite round of applause, but she came out here to show respect, but also challenge for a match, because in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. And Stephanie looks at Io as the best. Adam Pearce comes out, makes it official. We got Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer for free on Monday Night Raw. That's a WrestleMania match for me. And remember how I said in my WrestleMania review that if you let Io go, take the cuffs off Io, let her just go loose, she's awesome. They didn't put the cuffs on her here. I thought her and Stephanie had an amazing, possibly pay-per-view worthy match for sure. It was awesome. The only thing that happened though was the fact that Io won by DQ, but Roxanne Perez came out and laid out Io. But then out came Giulia and she laid out Stephanie Vaquer. And then they basically, which I didn't do a turn alert because I don't watch NXT all the time, but I didn't do a turn alert. But apparently it looks like Giulia, who dropped the NXT Women's Championship to Stephanie at NXT Roadblock, and she was supposed to be out with an injury, which I heard was why they had her drop the title so soon. But now she's back, and I guess she's a heel now too. Didn't really see much of a story other than the fact that she just wanted a rematch when she came back, but I guess she's still a heel. And her and Roxanne are a tease duo. What if that has something to do also with something I'm going to talk about Becky Lynch in my turn alert? But yeah, they came out and they attacked. And then Rhea Ripley came out though, and made the save, sending the two of them flying. And then she hands Io her title out of respect, but basically also says, I'm coming for you though still. And walked away. I still can't believe we got Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer on live TV for free though. Again, that is WrestleMania quality right there. And if we got that on live TV, imagine what we will get on pay-per-view Sunday. Which that'll be awesome. Then we had this nice celebration for Jey Uso winning the world title. He came out, hot entrance, crowd's yeeting. Of course they did, the rollback as well after he soaked it in. He basically says how it wasn't easy, but he did it. Sami Zayn came out. Also, it was the first time I've seen Sami Zayn since his match at Chamber with Kevin Owens. Basically saying how proud he was of him and hugs him, and he did, and everybody knows it. And then Jimmy Uso can't celebrate. It was basically just a nice, celebration segment. Nothing to really, further a feud for Jey or whatnot with the world title, but still awesome to see. A great moment for Jey celebrating with Sami and Jimmy was awesome. We also get footage of Logan Paul saying he won, and his match he's going to fight anyone who's in front of him, and he's going to maintain his WrestleMania winning streak. Whatever that means, I don't know. I don't give a shit because I don't like Logan Paul. AJ Styles was interviewed saying, that it was a hard pill to swallow losing to Logan, but Logan played his games and got his lackeys involved, and he has to take the L. But he's going to move on. And then, he's saying part of being phenomenal is him bouncing back. Well, then we got Karrion Kross, who's Mr. Shoot interviewed this past week in an awesome Shoot promo he did. He rolls up and says there's no bouncing back for him, and losing to Logan legitimizes him. And AJ's like, I'm not going to go back to the guy I was a year ago because I hated that guy. And he's not going to let Karrion take him down. He tells Kross to go solve the Logan Paul problem himself, and that's that. Again, I'm hoping this is leading to Karrion Kross getting a push, but we'll see, of course. But I still think you should give him a push, especially after that Shoot promo he had cut over the past weekend. Again, I keep saying, Karrion Kross is super underrated artistically. So we'll, of course, see how that goes. But then we got something interesting. Even more interesting. I call this from 10 years earlier, we had Brock Lesnar upset about losing the world title, going ape shit and taking everyone out on live TV. We basically got that with Gunther. Because after the commercial break, Gunther came out yelling at the commentary team because they keep mentioning how he tapped out at WrestleMania. Michael Cole was like, yo, I'm just doing my job. I'm not the one who tapped out. He made a big mistake because he then tries to set up Michael Cole for the chokehold. But then Pat McAfee got involved and they started fighting. But then he was able to get the upper hand and choke out Pat McAfee. Where that's going to go, I don't know, but I love it. Again, it gives Pat an interesting match. Him and Gunther could be a good match. But also, it's kind of giving Gunther a different direction with his character. I feel like that, even though Gunther's been a heel, up until this past feud, it's more so like he's a heel, but he still is like, a guy who's tough to beat. Now we're spicing it in with him getting angry over him losing and him tapping out and, obviously embarrassed about it. Could lead to a new wrinkle in his character. But, yeah, we'll see where it goes. I definitely think at some point, maybe not till SummerSlam, we could be seeing Pat McAfee and Gunther. I'm interested to see where it goes. But I thought that was an awesome segment. Joe Tessitore came in to replace Pat McAfee for the rest of the show. Michael Cole, though, first was being told to take the rest of the night. He goes, nope, not happening. So he goes back and he says, I won't let some bully keep him from doing his job on WrestleMania week. Penta then lost to Dominik Mysterio thanks to a returning JD McDonough. So it wasn't clean or whatnot, but he still helped him. But Dominik got the win. And, of course, Judgment Day stand tall and celebrate afterwards. But you do see Finn Balor with kind of like that look on his face where it's like, is he really with them or not? Who knows? But that was great. El Grande Americano also had a hype reel about his WrestleMania victory. And then we ended with the newest Paul Heyman. One of the two new Paul Heyman guys, Seth Rollins. And all he does is takes his time saying he's a visionary who took a wise man from a tribal chief who stole CM Punk's best friend. And he is the winner of the main event of WrestleMania. Before we can say more, CM Punk came out and wasted no time, and he started brawling with Rollins with punches, and until he got into a corner, and then Punk turns to Heyman, who threatens a lawsuit on Punk if he touched him, but Punk charges right in and grabs him and backs him into a corner. But until you can get more on him, though, Seth came back in and laid out Punk, hitting the curb stomp. So then, it looks like it's over, because they do show, the ending credit graphics and whatnot. But you see Paul Heyman still have a microphone in his hand. So I'm like, it's not like he's not quite done yet. He wasn't. Because Heyman said we're going to conclude WrestleMania 41 by propelling the news all the way to WrestleMania 42. There is a new, reigning, defending, undisputed, number one top star in this industry, Seth Rollins. But then as soon as he said that, Roman Reigns' music hits. Roman came out, went right to the ring, and he took out Seth Rollins with a huge spear. Heyman, who was all alone stunned, was staring down Rollins. So then Roman takes it a step further and lays out Paul with a Superman punch. And then he's setting up the spear Paul. You think that's it? He was calling for it. But as Roman Reigns goes to spear him, bam! Somebody spears him out of the blue. It was Braun Breaker. And then Punk gets back in the ring, and Breaker spears him too. And then Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker reveal they're now a thing. They're now with Paul Heyman, and they basically do a vicious beatdown on both Punk and Roman to close out the show. Wow. So basically, in other terms, Seth Rollins is basically trying to be, the next guy who gets the big Roman Reigns treatment, right? I guess that could be interesting. And having Braun Breaker by his side, ooh, that's dangerous. I feel like, though, there's more going to be added to this. Because I've heard some people say, throw Austin Theory in this stable as well. Which I'd be interested to give him a try. Because I know at one point, Austin was supposed to be one of Seth's disciples when he was the Monday Night Messiah. And I know Paul Heyman's very high on Seth Rollins. It's always Seth Rollins, but very high on Austin Theory. We could, though, see maybe Becky Lynch join the stable as well, too. We'll talk about her more in my turn alert. But what a night. What an explosive ending. What an episode of Raw. The surprises, the returns, the Rusev return got the biggest pop, no doubt about it. I will say this, though, I forgot to mention this when I did talk about his return. The only thing that bothered me about his return was the fact that they basically Braun Strowman'd him. They had him take out tag team wrestlers. And, I don't know. I it's not that it hurt Rusev, but to me, it's like it continues to make your tag team division look like kind of a joke. But, Rusev still look great. I'm sure tag team wrestling will live another year. But yeah, again, lots of stuff happened. And a really, really great Raw after Mania. I personally gave it an A. Again, it wasn't a classic show, but it was an outstanding and very exciting show that I enjoyed from top to bottom. So, I'm going to give the April 21st episode of Raw an A. And I do look forward to seeing what SmackDown brings us tomorrow night. As we hopefully get the return of Aleister Black. By the way, also, I was very surprised not to see Trick Williams. But I guess he's still in NXT, and it looks like they're making him a heel. We'll see what happens with that. But, yeah, no Trick Williams. Thought we'd at least have that. But I know Roxanne was supposed to wrestle Stephanie at on NXT this week, too. So maybe she's done for good. And maybe her and Giulia may be part of something with Becky Lynch. We'll talk about that in my turn alert once again. But yeah, I thought it was a great episode of Raw. Gave it an A. Obviously going to have to change this graphic at the very end back to what it was before. Of course, maybe with the more heelish looks by the girls. And yeah, that's my thoughts on Raw. I gave a Raw an A for this week. What are you guys' thoughts this week's episode of Raw? You guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93 and also on Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you all later. Have a great rest of your nights, and do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself, and that is also the pain, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!